Hello. Okay, Strange Darling, a movie that was first released back last year at Fantastic Fest and we're only now getting it here in the UK. It's directed and written by a JT Mollner, this being his second feature film. I've not seen his directorial debut, but I've been really looking forward to this movie due to sort of the positive chatter and just what the film is about. It's got me intrigued. So the story of Strange Darling is, it's set in rural Oregon. The film focuses on a man and a woman who engage in a one-night stand that devolves into a cat and mouse game of murder. So, the movie is shot on 35mm and as a result it just looks gorgeous, but it also adds the grittiness to what I feel like this story needs. It has a kind of Tarantino grindhouse look to the film, which I absolutely adored. And this story is supposed to be set, it's supposed to be based on true events, but that's not being confirmed or denied, which again sort of kind of plays into what they're attempting to do with this story. But it's just through the look of the film and just through the beautiful cinematography and the way in which these moments and scenes are framed, it kind of takes away any sense of time. Like, it says it's based towards the end of 2020. I think that's what it said at the beginning of the movie anyway, from what I can remember. Yet, as you're watching the film, due to the look of it, due to the cinematography, and just the feel and just how the camera will linger on certain moments, it just sort of takes away from the kind of the sense of time of when this movie or when this story is supposed to be based, which again then kind of plays into that sort of ambiguous nature of its story and its characters' journeys, which I really liked. In many ways, this film sort of kind of really plays with you on many different aspects. Not just from the writing perspective with its characters, but from a technical perspective as well. And the story is also aided by some really great sound design that kind of really heightens the tension and horror within certain moments. And you've also got a great score that I absolutely adored by a Craig de Leon. It's a very powerful, unnerving, electronic, industrial sound that heightens the tension and in many ways highlights some of the underlying themes and psychological aspects of its characters' journeys. The music for me personally really brings that to life in a way that is beautifully done. And so the decision to tell this story, which I absolutely adored because it really kind of plays into how this movie toys with you. In many ways I felt like this story, you know, the writer JT Mollner was really trying to kind of manipulate you into sort of how you're feeling when it comes to these characters and what it is going on, and it felt like it was beautifully done. And a lot of this is aided by how the story was told. Again, it's very kind of Tarantino, where the story is split into 6 chapters, but it's told in non-linear order. And by doing this, the movie does a beautiful job at misleading you. It provokes you to assume the story and its characters' motivations. Then it just turns everything on its head, challenging you emotionally and even in a way shining a light on you as a viewer and tricking you into questioning your own bias. This I really adored about the movie because it was in a very clever way really challenging me. In many ways, the movie, like I just said, was manipulating me, and it was done in such a smart way that it was definitely an experience that was kind of toying with me emotionally, and I was somewhat exhausted as a result of that, but in a positive way after watching this. In many ways, the writer, JT Mollner, you know, he wants you, the viewer, to assume what's going on. And, you know, you kind of think, oh, you know, this story is definitely going to go into a certain direction. And then it takes a complete U-turn and turns everything on its head. And it's like, right. And it's as a result of this kind of very clever storytelling which is aided by not only the writing, but the editing and how the narrative is structured, that kind of keeps you on edge and constantly guessing. And not only guessing what the characters are thinking and what they are feeling, but yourself as well. Because I do feel like, you know, it challenges you in a way, it kind of challenges your moral compass in a way, in many ways, to a degree as well. For me, personally, This is one of those movies, it's one of those stories that has many layers to it. It's an experience that allows you, the viewer, to unpeel those layers without them spoon feeding you what they are trying to say through its story and its themes. And I just love it when movies do that through its writing, especially from a technical perspective of how the story is told. There is a Tarantino-esque vibe to this film, mainly down to how the narrative is structured, but also the look. You know, like I said, it's shot on 35mm and it gives it that kind of grindhouse gritty look, and so there's definitely a Tarantino inspiration here, and there's a kind of like a faint undercurrent of humour, which I kind of liked. It's not really that prominent, and I would say that it's not really consistent. It's kind of like, it kind of sort of touches on that kind of dark sense of humour, but it doesn't really sort of really come to life. Kyle Gallner as the demon is great here. It's a character's journey that is told purely through how Kyle handles his character with these very nuanced expressions. There are many times through his performance that he just really put me on edge due to how those nuances within his performance sort of came to life, and just how this story was just doing its damnedest to keep you on the edge. For example, again, going back to the cinematography and how certain moments with these characters are framed. For example, you'll have Kyle's character, the demon, in the background, and he'll just sort of, you can see his character thinking, and it'll just be those sort of little nuanced details in how he handles himself in those moments that kind of really just help to put you on edge. But again, it's how all these different elements to the movie from a technical perspective, with how the camera was used and sort of how these moments were framed, to the performances, to the writing, it all helps elevate sort of the tension and that kind of psychological horror that these characters are within. Willa Fitzgerald as the lady was also superb here. A character, a very deep character with a lot of depth. It's all aided by a very kind of layered performance. Again, like Kyle Gallner, through her performance with those kind of very nuanced details with her emotions, she's saying so much with saying so little, and I could never take my eyes off her whenever she was on the screen due to how she was bringing this very interesting and compelling character to life. And again, this was also aided by how the camera was used and how it would fixate on these characters like Willa Fitzgerald, and you would just be sort of observing and watching this character, which is a very tragic character as well, sort of just going through these motions of the horror that she's within, and she is so mesmerizing to watch, and it could have easily have gone a little bit over the top in moments, but it kind of sort of just pulls away from it at the very last moment, I felt. And to just go back to performances for a moment, I just kind of just liked through the cinematography how these performances were just allowed to breathe and really come to life. Like I said, so much of these characters' journeys are told via the performances, via how these actors and actresses are sort of bringing these characters to life and allowing these characters to come to life without saying too much. Like, the writing is very tight, it's very smart, but again, it's a story, or it's a journey, it's a character's journey that is told a lot through how these characters are brought to life. And there are some moments where I was just completely mesmerized by how they were bringing these characters to life. Will Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner were both superb here. And I just feel like the way in which the themes are explored, like toxic relationships, bias, addiction. I mean, for me personally, I could see that there were many layers to this movie in which they were exploring with what these characters have gone through. And again, I feel like it's up to you, the viewer, in how much you want to unpeel those layers. But I felt like it was done in a very clever way that really challenges you emotionally, mentally. So yeah, I really enjoyed Strange Darling. I had a really good time. It does exactly what I feel movies should do. It emotionally pulled me in different directions. It challenged me in ways where it provoked me emotionally and kind of really allowed me to sort of play a part really within this story, because like I said, you know, the film is provoking you, it's manipulating you, and I really adored that aspect of it. Could it have pushed boundaries? Maybe. Yes, but at the same time, it was very effective at what it was doing as well, and I was immersed. I was being sort of thrown in all directions in regards to what I was assuming was going to happen with the story and with these characters, and I really loved this movie as a result of that, because I'm not just there sitting watching this thing play out, but it's actually in many ways interacting with me, and I really appreciated that aspect of this experience. So yeah, enough rambling on from me. Strange Darlings releases in UK cinemas this weekend. Please check it out. I highly recommend it. And I will be giving Strange Darling an 8 out of 10. So yeah, there are my thoughts on Strange Darling, but what did you guys think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you agree or disagree with anything I've said? Then please let me know in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, then thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to watch future movie reviews from just some random Welsh geek rambling on, then please hit the subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. I'm hoping to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm not quite sure I'm going to do it. I'm just about to hit 400. So, and I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that have subscribed to my channel to date. It still overwhelms me that so many of you would want to just follow just some random Welsh geek ramble on about film, TV, and just everything geeky. But yeah, I absolutely love it, and just thank you for joining me on this journey. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll be catching you guys soon.